Candidate registration, an online presentation of the FEC's Information Division. This presentation is intended to help federal candidates and their campaign committees determine when they need to register with the Federal Election Commission and how to do so. Should you have any questions after viewing this presentation, please contact the FEC's Information Division for assistance. Generally, an individual running for Congress or the Presidency must register with the Federal Election Commission as a candidate once he or she has raised or spent more than $5,000 in connection with the campaign. Within 15 days after reaching the $5,000 threshold, the candidate must file a Statement of Candidacy, FEC Form 2, to register as a candidate and to designate a principal campaign committee. Within 10 days after the candidate's designation, the campaign committee must register by filing a Statement of Organization, FEC Form 1. Both the Statement of Candidacy and the Statement of Organization are available by mail, fax, and on our website. Candidates for the House and the Presidency have the option to register electronically using electronic filing software or web forms on fec.gov. Senate candidates must file on paper. Let's take a close look at the two registration forms, beginning with the Statement of Candidacy. On line 1 of the Statement of Candidacy, please provide the candidate's full name and address. The identification number requested on line 2 will be assigned by the Commission, so if this is your first Form 2 filing, you may leave that line blank or write "to be assigned" in the space provided. On line 3, check the appropriate box to indicate whether this is a new or amended Statement of Candidacy. On lines 4, 5, and 6, list the candidate's party affiliation, the office sought, and the state and district as appropriate. On line 7, you must provide the name and address of your principal campaign committee. If you choose, you may also designate additional authorized committees on line 8. Finally, the candidate must sign and date the form. Now let's look at Form 1, the Statement of Organization form used to register the candidate's campaign committee. First, the committee must provide its name and mailing address. The committee's name must be identical to the name the candidate provided on the Statement of Candidacy. Please note that the committee's name must include the name of the candidate. Friends of Jane Doe and Smith for Senate are examples of acceptable campaign committee names. Only a committee authorized by a candidate may use that candidate's name in its name. Next, provide the committee's email address and website address if the committee has a site. The Commission uses the email address on Form 1 to send reporting reminders, requests for additional information, and other helpful compliance information. By providing a website address, your committee can ensure that voters will be able to find your official campaign website. On line 2, provide the date on which the candidate designated the committee as a principal campaign committee. The identification number requested on line 3 will be assigned by the Commission. The committee will then use this number on all reports and statements it files with the agency. On line 4, indicate whether this is a new or amended Form 1. At the bottom of page 1, the committee treasurer must sign and date the form. On line 5 of the Statement of Organization, check box A to indicate that you are registering a principal campaign committee. Other authorized committees would check box B, then provide the name of the candidate, party affiliation, and office sought. Any affiliated authorized committees would be listed on line 6. If your campaign does not have additional authorized committees, simply leave this space blank. On line 7, provide the name, address, and phone number for the committee's custodian of records, the person in possession of the committee's books and records. On line 8, provide the same information for the committee's treasurer. Often, the committee treasurer is the same individual who serves as custodian of records. In fact, It's possible for the candidate to serve as both the treasurer and custodian of records. The Commission recommends that you also designate an assistant treasurer or designated agent who can fill in the treasurer's absence. The committee treasurer has many responsibilities under the federal campaign finance law. The treasurer must deposit funds received within 10 days of receipt, authorize all expenditures the committee makes, monitor contributions to ensure they are from permissible sources and within the applicable limits, keep all records for a period of 3 years, sign the committee's reports, and ensure that the reports are accurate and filed on time. On line 9, the committee must identify the bank where the committee has its account. While committees are free to invest their funds, they must maintain at least one account at a federally insured institution on which checks can be drawn. In order to open a bank account, the committee will need to first obtain a taxpayer identification number from the Internal Revenue Service. To do so, visit irs.gov and search for Employer Identification Number, or EIN. House and presidential candidates and committees file their documents on paper or electronically with the FEC. Senate candidates and committees file only on paper with the Secretary of the Senate. The mailing addresses for both offices are listed on the forms. Duplicate registration and reporting with state election offices is no longer required in most jurisdictions. However, candidates running in Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Mariana Islands must continue to file copies of all reports and statements with their local election offices. Addresses and phone numbers for state election offices are available through the compliance map on our website. Even if you're not required to file copies of reports with your state election office, you may want to make a note of their website address and phone number since they handle questions concerning ballot access requirements. Once the Commission receives and processes a campaign's registration documents, the agency sends a welcome email that includes the committee's FEC identification number, the name and phone number of the campaign finance analyst that will review the committee's reports, and links to compliance information on our website, including reporting deadlines. The Federal Election Commission is committed to helping campaigns comply with the federal campaign finance laws. In addition to the compliance information we provide on our website, we maintain a toll-free information line you can call for help without having to identify yourself. We respond within 5 business days to questions sent by email, and we conduct conferences throughout the country, host webinars on a variety of topics, and post e-learning videos, like this one, on our website and YouTube channel. We encourage you to make use of these resources and look forward to helping you.